We're really privileged to have with us today the superintendent of the Nez Perce National Park, and that's Gary Summers. And Gary's made a long trip from California by car just to get here in time for today's ceremony, so we appreciate your making that effort, Gary.
I'm privileged to be here today. I was at a meeting at Lassen Volcanic National Park all week, last week, and it kept getting colder the farther I came north. When I was packing to come here, I did not expect to be having so many layers on. In fact, I was worried about being hot. So somehow I managed with the right pieces thanks to the help of Tim Nitz, our local representative here. I'm honored to be here today as the representative for the National Park Service and the Department of the Interior. It's also interesting to be the answer to a trivia question in the state of Oregon when we ask what's the 6th unit of the National Park Service that's in Oregon. And no one thinks of Joseph and Nez Perce National Historical Park. So just remember that. We are the answer to one of the trivia questions. In July 1839, Henry Spalding, the Presbyterian minister to the Nez Perce, came to the Wallowas to visit Iwetemlaykin, whom he had baptized as Joseph. Joseph brought him some 40 miles from his base camp to Wallowa Lake, making clear the area's importance to him and his people. Not long after that, a son was born to Iwetemlaykin, who later came to be known as Young Chief Joseph. But his true name was Iwetemlaykin, which refers to the thunder rising out of Wallowa Lake. So young Joseph, like so many other Nez Perce, carried in his own identity a lifelong connection to this place. In every aspect of their life and culture, the Nez Perce, the original people of the Wallowas, understood themselves to be both of the earth and stewards of it. It was their responsibility to protect and preserve the earth and pass it down unimpaired to future generations. They were, as we would say today, stewards of this land. Over time, there have been other stewards, including the Knight, Marr, and Parmenter families. Today, as it was for generations of the Nez Perce, this land is again held in common for all the people. In a sense, it no longer belongs to anyone, as it is owned by all and must be preserved and protected. And again, today it is known by a name in the language of the original inhabitants, Iwetemlaykin. As the Nez Perce both respected and cared for this place and its fisheries, serving as stewards on behalf of all the people who came here and found sustenance in the Creator's gifts, so too has the state of Oregon stepped forward to become the stewards, caring for it on all our behalfs. And with them stand the Confederated Tribes of the Culver Reservation, the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, and the Nez Perce Tribe, who have promised to help them in their stewardship, thus linking the original stewards with today's stewards. And the National Park Service is honored to humbly assist them however we can. Thank you.
Sort of as an intermediary in making the land acquisition happen was the Oregon State Parks Trust. They played a crucial link in funding this property purchase, accepting the contribution from the 3 tribes that are here today that helped us acquire this land. Today, speaking on behalf of the Oregon State Parks Trust is the Executive Director, Dave Eshbaugh.
It is tied in with duct tape, so I'm not going to move it. I want to tell you a little bit about a story, but first I want to introduce some folks and say thank you for letting Oregon State Parks Trust be part of this occasion. We're a statewide organization that focuses on enhancing and preserving state parks. I've got one of our board members here, John Edmondson, who is unfortunately leaving the board in December, but I told him it's a life sentence and that we will keep in contact with him. The story I have to tell you is I think a phone call that happened about 3 years ago when Tim Wood and Dave Wright said, we've got something we think you might be interested in. It may be a little tricky, but it's worth it. And started to talk to me about the role that we could possibly play in acquiring this piece of property. To say that it was a little tricky was an understatement, but I think that what we have here is well worth the time that we all spent on it. One board member of mine in particular, Ted Herzog, who could not be here today, spent hours working on the language to make sure that all parties would see this land protected forever. I was honored to be here during an initial blessing ceremony on this land, and I can tell you that it was a privilege. It was humbling for all of us. There were tears streaming down most of our faces to realize how wonderful it is to see this place preserved forever for all Oregonians and for those who choose to visit it. I couldn't be happier that this is the Governor's Park a year and that the Trust has had an opportunity to be part of it. We look forward to working with you on this project and others in the future to save the most special places in Oregon. With that, I'll say thank you and move on to the next speaker. Thank you.